40 meters inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, a robot the size of a shoebox stopped moving. Its camera was pointed at a slab of limestone that had a door cut into it. A real door, with 2 copper handles, fitted into a shaft so small, no human hand built it from the inside. And here's the part that stops you cold. This door was placed in a space no person was ever supposed to reach. So the answer to the question you came here for is yes. There is a sealed door under the pyramids. It was never meant to be opened, and what's behind it is stranger than the people who found it expected. But before you think you already know where this goes, you don't. Because there isn't one door. There are 2. And the second one wasn't found until last year. If you've ever felt the pull of a question that's been sitting locked for 4,500 years, subscribe. This channel exists for exactly that. Let's start with the one nobody can explain. The year is 1993. A German engineer named Rudolf Gantenbrink is doing a job most people would call a nightmare. He's sending a tiny tracked robot. He named it Upuat 2. After the Egyptian god who opens the ways, up a shaft inside the Great Pyramid. And these aren't grand corridors. The shafts are 8 inches by 8 inches, smaller than the air conditioning duct in your office. Pitch black, climbing at an angle into solid stone for 200 feet. For decades, archaeologists had called these air shafts. Ventilation, nothing more. The internal layout of the pyramid had been mapped and remapped for over a century. There was nothing left to find. And then the robot's headlight caught it. A slab of fine white limestone, polished smooth, sealing the shaft completely. And set into that slab, 2 corroded copper pins, handles, fittings, hardware. Stop and sit with that for a second. Someone installed a door with handles at the end of a shaft that no living person could ever crawl into. Why put handles on something nobody can reach? Handles are for opening. They imply someone or something was meant to come back. That single image sent a shock through the entire field of Egyptology, because the pyramid wasn't supposed to have any secrets left. For 9 years, that door just sat there in the dark, with the whole world wondering. Then, in 2002, a new robot was sent up the same shaft, this time carrying a drill and a fiber optic camera. They bored a small hole through the limestone. They fed the camera through. The world was watching. And what they found was almost cruel. Behind the first door was a tiny empty space, about 8 inches deep. And then a second door, another limestone barrier. Rougher than the first, unpolished, but placed just as deliberately. It was like opening a locked box and finding another locked box inside it. The Egyptians hadn't sealed something once. They built a double barrier. And whatever they were protecting, they wanted it protected badly enough to hide it behind 2 doors in a shaft the width of your forearm. The camera caught something else too. On the walls of that little cavity, faint markings, possibly hieroglyphs, and what looked like more copper fittings deeper in. So now the question isn't just what's behind the door. It's why would anyone go to this much trouble to hide something where no one could ever look? Hold that thought, because this is where it gets bigger than one shaft. Everything I've told you so far has been known for years. Here's what almost nobody knows. In November of 2025, Dr. Zahi Hawass, the former Minister of Antiquities, the most recognized name in Egyptian archaeology, stood up at a book fair in Sharjah and announced something the field had been quietly chasing for nearly a decade. Using muography, a scanning technique borrowed from particle physics, that tracks cosmic ray particles passing through solid stone, 3 independent teams had confirmed a void. A space, a corridor roughly 30 meters long, hidden deep inside the Great Pyramid, sitting directly above the Grand Gallery. Sealed since the Fourth Dynasty, untouched for around 4,500 years. Think about the scale of that. 30 meters. That's as long as the Grand Gallery itself, one of the most complex structures inside the entire pyramid. An entire corridor that no one knew existed, that no eye had seen since the workers who built it walked away. And here's the detail that ties this whole story together. At the end of that corridor, the robotic probes reached a barrier. Another sealed stone door, never opened. Not once in 4,500 years. Now, the skeptics have a reasonable explanation, and I want to be fair to it. Some engineers argue this corridor is structural. The Great Pyramid contains an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks, some weighing 15 tons. That's crushing, almost unimaginable weight. Maybe the void is just a relieving chamber. Empty space, engineered to redistribute pressure so the whole thing doesn't collapse under its own mass. It's a clean theory. It might even be right. But here's what nags at the researchers who've actually studied the placement. This corridor doesn't sit in a random spot. It occupies a precise position aligned with the pyramid's key internal pathways. And the ancient Egyptian architects were masters of deliberate deception in design. False passages, hidden chambers, sealed doors built specifically to mislead and protect. Concealment wasn't a side effect of their work. It was a feature. So the unavoidable question becomes the one in the title. Was this built to support the structure? Or was it built to hide something? Because you don't put a sealed door at the end of a passage you only needed for engineering. A door is a threshold. A door says, there is a beyond, and we did not want you in it. So, what could be back there? Theory 1 is the one every archaeologist secretly dreams about: Khufu's burial chamber. The pharaoh who built the Great Pyramid, his mummy has never been found. His sarcophagus in the king's chamber was discovered completely empty. For over a century, no one has been able to answer the simplest question about the largest tomb ever built. Where is the man it was built for? If that door opens onto an intact royal burial, it would rival the discovery of Tutankhamun in 1922. It would be the find of the century. Theory 2 is quieter and, in a way, stranger. The knowledge theory. Some researchers believe these sealed spaces could hold records, scrolls, inscriptions, a deliberate time capsule of everything the Egyptians knew about mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. A civilization this obsessed with precision, this obsessed with permanence, building something to outlast eternity. What if what they hid wasn't a body, but a message? Something they wanted, a future that could finally reach it to understand. And theory 3 is the uncomfortable one, that we open it and find another door, another barrier. The mystery folding inward again, the way it did in 2002. A puzzle so perfectly built that every generation cracks one layer only to find another waiting. Hawass himself has been careful. He said his team will only release findings after exhaustive analysis, a full scientific report before any public reveal. No live spectacle inside the pyramid. The opening, when it comes, is expected to be announced in 2026, which means we are, right now, standing in the last quiet moment before a 4,500-year-old door is opened. There's something I keep coming back to. Whoever sealed these doors knew they would never see them again. They sealed the shafts knowing no one alive in their lifetime would open them. They built handles onto a barrier in a space no human could enter. That isn't the behavior of people hiding something for themselves. That's the behavior of people sending something forward. To us. To whoever finally had the tools to reach it. We were never the intended audience of the pyramids in the way we think. We weren't supposed to gawk at the outside. The message, if there is one, was sealed on the inside, behind stone, waiting for a civilization patient enough and advanced enough to come looking. And after 4,500 years, that civilization turned out to be us, with our cosmic ray scanners and our shoebox robots, finally knocking on a door that was closed before the first word of human history was ever written down. The question was never really, what's behind the door? The question is, what did they think was important enough to lock away from everyone, except the people of the distant future they were certain would someday arrive? We are about to find out. The scans are confirmed, the robots are in position, and the announcement is coming. For the first time in 4,500 years, the door is going to open. And whatever the Egyptians sealed inside is about to meet a world they could only imagine. If you want to be here when that door opens and we break down exactly what's behind it, subscribe and turn on notifications. This is the one story I refuse to let you miss. And tell me in the comments, a lost tomb, a hidden message, or another door, what do you think they were really protecting?